Hello everybody, it's me George, and first and foremost I want to wish you all a very, very happy Monday from -10 temperatures here in the UK. Temperatures have dropped drastically, so winter well and truly has an icy firm grip on the land, and by the gods, is she letting go? Hell no. Um, Actually, hell would be warmer. Temperatures around the UK have plummeted and they are expected to plummet further. So guys, for all of you watching, not even in the UK, wherever you are, if it's cold, wrap up, keep warm. Don't be afraid to put the heating on, guys. Your health matters more. And for all of you watching this, do you know what? Pause the video, get yourself a hot choc, get yourself a cup of tea, a brew. If you can drink caffeine past 3 o'clock, lucky you. Grab yourself one of them or a chamomile tea. Anything, a hot Vimto. Pause the video now. I don't know why I clapped. But the point is, just grab something warm, cozy up with me, and just, that sounded weird, but whatever. Grab something warm. I don't want anyone to be cold. Please keep warm. It's so, so important. What I wanted to talk about today is a really, really complicated, and an intricate thing. And so I don't wish to sound condescending or patronizing in any way, shape, or form. But it really is quite complex. It is complicated, especially for those of you that may be unfamiliar with Hermetic Kabbalah. So as per my last video, you guys would have seen regarding winter, you guys would have seen that I was talking about studying and practicing Hermetic Kabbalah and kind of delving into that. And that is something that I have been delving a lot more into, but it's something that I kind of want to document, but I'm wanting to document it within traditional witchcraft practices. And a lot of us are thinking, well, what's that got to do with traditional witchcraft practices? You will be surprised. You will be incredibly surprised. So, for those of you that don't know who may be unaware, Hermetic Kabbalah essentially started originally as Jewish mysticism, and each sphere, there's a tree of life, okay, within Hermetic Kabbalah. There is a tree of life, and the tree of life represents each emanation of God. It represents each aspect of Godhead, of the divine, okay? And each of those aspects or spheres are called sephiro, okay? So each sephiro is a different aspect of God. So for instance, there may be one that's focusing on mercy. There may be one that's focusing on strength. There may be one that focuses on beauty. There may be one that focuses on glory. There are different aspects of Sephiro that a person typically will meditate on, will study and will meditate on in order to connect to them. The highest Sephiro being Keter, and Keter represents pure energy, right? And then trickles down into different aspects of Godhead. So essentially, but kind of not essentially, that's what the Hermetic Kabbalah is. There is so much more to it than that, and I can't simply brush someone up on Hermetic Kabbalah within 20 minutes because it is very complex, it is very complicated, but essentially it is a map of God. It's a map of a person understanding, and through understanding they gain gnosis and knowledge, and through that they gain enlightenment and become higher up with God. Okay, so I'm going to show you a diagram of the tree of life. Now this is an aspect, there are different ways to spell Kabbalah, by the way. There is Kabbalah with a K, which originated in the 13th and 14th century Spain, which is Jewish mysticism. There is Kabbalah with a C, which is a Christianized version of that. And this is a diagram I'm going to show you. So this is the tree of life. It's taken from the Christian Kabbalah, but today we are talking about Hermetic Kabbalah. Now, Hermetic Kabbalah still has the tree of life. So I'm just using this as a reference point, by the way, guys. It has a tree of life, but in regards to the occult, that is typically the Kabbalah in which occultists will work with and will practice with and will utilize with and connect with ultimately. And it's interesting because It is a whole language. There really is a whole language to it. And when you understand aspects of what it is, it does unlock certain things for you regarding the occult world. And that could be in regards to writings. If someone mentions that something is like Malkuth or something is this, then we'll go, oh, Malkuth, that's Hermetic Kabbalah, that means kingdom, that means the earth, and that's what that person's on about. So it can actually become, to a degree, a language within itself. It's not the be all and end all, by the way. Much with all things, it's not the be all and end all of everything, but it has had a really big impact upon traditional witchcraft. And in particular, if we look at Robert Cochrane, there are definitely Kabbalistic influences there, and I'll explain. The diagram I'm using, by the way, is from the book The Red Church, or The Art of Pennsylvania German Baroque, the traditional blessed art for the good of man and beast by C.R. Bilardi. And it's a really good book. You should check it out. It's not on traditional witchcraft. It's on Pennsylvanian Dutch powwow. However, he does have a diagram here, and also actually utilizes this within a folk magical aspect. So different sephiro, different emanations or spheres of God, will represent different body parts. So for instance, Malkuth, meaning kingdom, will represent the feet or the physical body. Yeso will represent the genitals. Tiferet will represent the heart. There are different aspects in which it will represent. And in this book, he talks about utilizing those sephiro in order to cure or heal ailments around the body. Really, really interesting. It's a good book. I would check it out. But today we're using this for a reference. So, where does this stand within witchcraft? Where does this stand within traditional witchcraft? So, here's where it gets interesting, and I really hope I don't lose anyone in translation here, and if I do, please let me know, and I apologise profusely. I hope this makes sense to you guys. If we look at the Tree of Life, okay, we have the left side, which is the sphere of severity, the pillar of severity, and we have the right side, which is the pillar of mercy. This can be seen on the High Priestess card in the tarot. Within the middle, we have the pillar of equilibrium, okay? We have the middle pillar, okay? So the pillar of mercy is associated with Chokmah, which is the fatherly masculine aspect of Godhead. To the pillar of severity, the left side pillar, we have Binah, the feminine aspect of God. Chokmah means wisdom, Binah means understanding, okay? And within the middle, we have Tiferet, meaning beauty, represented by the sun, okay? So the idea is that Chokmah, the masculine aspect of God, and Binah, the feminine aspect of God, comes together and creates Tiferet, beauty. And that's the aspect of beauty within God. When we see the sunset, we see the birds, and we're enthralled by this incredible beauty. I want to make the disclaimer here that this is definitely very binary in nature, and I realize there are some people that aren't necessarily comfortable with the male-female procreation binary aspect of things, and I understand that to a degree. And admittedly, that's never been something that's really played much of a part within my practice. For me personally, I have always, when people say, oh, have you got a matron or a patron, or, not necessarily. For me, I do work with goddesses, I do work with gods, but I don't work with them to balance gender roles. For me, the thing that matters most for me is as above, so below, i.e., the light and the darkness combine together to create balance, and that has morely been a part within my practice. I've never actually discussed that, but that's what it's mean. But this further aside, you'll just have to bear with me for reference, okay? So, once again, we have the left, the divine feminine, Binah, the right, Chokmah, the divine masculine, and in the middle, the child of beauty, represented by the sun. I recognised that, and I was like, where do I know that? Where do I know that from? Where is that from? And I was like, oh, it's in this book. The Star-Crossed Serpent, which I've done a book review about. If you guys are interested, please take a look. And it's funny because it's made me understand and see this book more as well, which is amazing because my whole book review is about understanding the book. Volume 1, Origins, Evan John Jones, 1966 to 1998, The Legend of Tubal-Cain. Fantastic book. But I had a look, and Robert Cochrane talks about the stang. Now, bear in mind, we look at the stang as the axis mundi, as the world tree. What do we have in Hermetic Kabbalah? The tree of life. So, he describes the stang in a letter to Bill Gray as thus: its roots are Malkuth, or the gateway, that is physical experience, and its top is the highest mystical experience. The roots, Malkuth, meaning kingdom, earth, okay, and the very top, Keter, meaning crown, okay, which is energy, pure energy, okay. The stang, the way in which the stang was set, okay, the stang would be in the middle, and the stang would represent the horned child, the child of beauty, okay. But to the right would be the working knife, representing the stag, the lord of the underworld, the stag, okay, the divine masculine. And to the left would be the chalice to represent the pale-faced goddess, the source, the divine feminine. And they were put by the sides of the stang to represent, with the left, with the divine feminine, combined with the right, the divine masculine made, the center, the stang, the child of beauty, the horned child. So, with the left, Binah, the divine feminine, the chalice. With the right, Chokmah, the divine masculine, the knife, creates the stang. Tiferet, the horned child of beauty, representing beauty. And Robert Cochrane makes examples a lot in regards to Kabbalistic imagery and Kabbalistic magic. And it is everywhere, even to the point where he says, the moon, because its path to its mystery is the foundation of wisdom and spiritual experience. And he talks about the stang being the moon because of its foundations to the spiritual experience. Foundations, Yesod. Yesod is symbolized in Hermetic Kabbalah. Each Sephirot, apart from these three, are represented by the 7 planets. And guess what planet Yesod is, the foundation? Guess what planet that's represented by? The moon. So I'm going to read it again. The moon, because it is the path to its mysteries, the foundation of wisdom and spiritual existence. It is love because it represents the union of male and female, therefore attraction and counter-attraction, and it is beauty, the child of wisdom, i.e. the horned child. There's clearly a Kabbalistic reference there. And I wouldn't think that Hermetic Kabbalah would have had an influence upon traditional witchcraft, and of course it would. Of course it would. Hermetic Kabbalah has had a significant influence on occultism in the West, in the Western occult traditions, even from the Hermetic, the order of the Hermetic order of the Golden Dawn. Is it Golden Dawn? Yeah, Hermetic order of the Golden Dawn. Sorry. Wow, guys, I'm sorry. I've retook this video about 5 times, so I do apologise. But even down to the Hermetic order of the Golden Dawn, Crowley was very much interested in Kabbalistic workings. There are different, for instance, Rosalind Norton drew art, she drew Binah. She drew aspects of Kabbalistic influence within her artwork, within her paintings, and within her work. For those of you interested in more of that, check out Witcher King's Cross on Amazon Prime. Fantastic documentary. Can't recommend it enough. And it's funny because Ronald Hutton actually said, if Robert Cochrane made all of it up, made his whole tradition up, then he is truly a genius. And yeah, definitely that, to combine Kabbalistic influences alongside lore, folklore, and witchcraft, is a genius thing. Now, I'm not saying Robert Cochrane made it all up. I'm not saying he didn't make it all up. I'm completely neutral. I don't necessarily, to a degree, think that's really relevant. For me, it's more about the work at hand and how the work connects to an individual. But again, this is the clan of Tubal Cain, so this is a clan, this is a family, which is different. And I hope, by saying this is the utmost respect to the clan of Tubal Cain and also to Robert Cochrane's work. And once again, I realise that these roles are within the binary, and there are a lot of people that aren't comfortable with that and feel within their practice the need to break the binary. And actually, as a gay man, I do completely and utterly understand that. So I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. This is the only way for someone to kind of work witchcraft or Hermetic Kabbalah. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. I'm merely drawing the comparisons that I've seen recently while studying, practicing, and meditating on Hermetic Kabbalah and comparing it to traditional witchcraft. And you know what? There's quite a lot. There is quite a lot. For those of you that are interested in the Hermetic Kabbalah, I would fully recommend Spirit Science. It's a YouTube channel and they're like almost like a little cartoon, but it explains the basics to Hermetic Kabbalah and Kabbalistic work. I would 110% recommend that. But I'm glad I got to speak to you guys about that today. And I hope it makes sense. And that's, again, not to sound condescending or patronizing. It's just that Hermetic Kabbalah is very complex and is very complicated. So yeah, over and out, and peace. Stay warm.